Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English with the Hobbit. In today's lesson, we are diving into more vocabulary from the Hobbit and exploring some useful grammar tips. But before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. It had a perfectly round door like a porthole, painted green, with a shiny yellow brass knob in the exact middle. The door opened onto a tube-shaped hall like a tunnel, a very comfortable tunnel without smoke, with paneled walls and floors tiled and carpeted, provided with polished chairs and lots of pegs for hats and coats. The Hobbit was fond of visitors. The tunnel wound on, going fairly but not quite straight into the side of the hill. The hill, as all the people for many miles round called it, and many little round doors opened out of it, first on one side and then on another. No going upstairs for the Hobbit. Bedrooms, bathrooms, cellars, pantries, lots of these, wardrobes. He had whole rooms devoted to clothes, kitchens, dining rooms, all on the same floor, and indeed on the same passage. The best rooms were all on the left-hand side, going in, for these are the only ones to have windows, deep-set round windows looking over his garden and meadows beyond, sloping down to the river. Great. Now let's go over some of the words from today's passage. The first word is porthole. A porthole is a small, round window, usually found on ships, but in this case, it's used to describe a round window-like door in the Hobbit's house. Imagine looking through a tiny window and seeing a beautiful garden outside. That's a porthole. Next, we have brass knob. A knob is a round handle that you turn to open a door, and brass is a type of metal with a yellowish color. So a brass knob is simply a shiny, golden handle on the door, now tube-shaped. This means something that looks like a tube, long and round, just like a tunnel. The Hobbit's home is described as tube-shaped because it's long and curved like a tunnel underground. Moving on, we have paneled walls. If a wall is paneled, it means it's covered with decorative wooden panels. It makes the room feel warm and cozy, like an old library or a classic English home. Next is tiled. If a floor or a wall is tiled, it means it's covered with square or rectangular pieces of stone, ceramic, or another material. Many kitchens and bathrooms have tiled floors because they're easy to clean, now polished. When something is polished, it's smooth and shiny, like a well-cleaned wooden table or freshly shined shoes. The chairs in the Hobbit's home were polished, meaning they looked nice and well-maintained. Let's talk about pegs. A peg is a small hook or pin used to hang things, like coats or hats. The Hobbit's house had lots of pegs for hanging clothes and accessories. Next, wound. This is the past tense of wind, which means to twist or curve around something. If a road wound through the mountains, it means it curve around them instead of going straight. Now, cellars and pantries. Both of these are storage rooms. A cellar is underground and usually used for storing wine or old furniture. A pantry is where food is kept, like jars of jam, bags of flour, and spices. Another useful word is devoted. If someone is devoted to something, it means they are fully committed and dedicated to it. For example, a person devoted to music spends all their time practicing and listening to music. Then we have meadows. A meadow is a large open field covered with grass and flowers. You might see cows or sheep grazing in a meadow. Next is sloping. If something is sloping, it means it tilts up or down at an angle. A sloping hill is one that slowly goes up or down instead of being flat. And finally, deep set. If something is deep set, it means it is placed deep inside. For example, someone might have deep-set eyes, meaning their eyes are positioned deeper in their face, giving them a thoughtful or intense look. That's it for today's vocabulary. Now, I want you to leave a comment using one of these words in a sentence. Let's practice together. Next, we'll take a look at some grammar points from today's reading. All right, let's begin with our first grammar point, the past simple tense. Look at this sentence. The door opened onto a tube-shaped hall. Here, opened is in the past simple tense because it talks about something that happened in the past and is now finished. In English, regular verbs form the past simple by adding ed at the end. But wait, not all verbs follow this rule. Take this sentence. The tunnel wound on and on. Wound is actually the past form of wind, which means to twist or curve. So, this is an irregular verb. Instead of adding ed, irregular verbs change completely. Now, let's take a look at another verb tense. The past perfect. Check out this sentence. It had a perfectly round door like a porthole. Why do we use had here? Well, the past perfect is used when we talk about something that happened before another past event. It helps us show sequence in a story. Another example, he had whole rooms devoted to clothes. This means that before the main events of the story, the rooms were already dedicated to clothes. So, the formula for the past perfect is had plus past participle, like had devoted. It's a great way to talk about things that happened earlier in the past. Okay, last one. Let's talk about something super useful in everyday English. Lots and lots of pegs for hats and coats. What's the difference between lots of and a lot of? Well, they both mean a large amount, but lots of is more informal and common in spoken English. A lot of is used in both speaking and writing, but sounds slightly more neutral. For example, you might say, I have a lot of work to do, or I have lots of friends. So if you're chatting with friends, lots of is great. But for essays, a lot of is better. And that's it for today. Now, I want to hear from you. Which grammar point do you find hardest? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more English lessons with The Hobbit. See you next time.